This is Robert Kraft, and I'm your host on SNN.Network. And joining me right now is Chris Dobbin. He is the president and CEO of Nova Leap Health Corp. It's a publicly traded company. I got two symbols for you: NLH on the TSX Venture and NVLPF in the US. And Chris and on behalf of Nova Leap will be joining us next week at our upcoming investor event. It is titled the SNN.Network Counter Virtual Event on January 6th and 7th, 2021. Chris will be there doing a presentation on Nova Leap. If you would like to hear that presentation, go register on Canada.SNN.Network. That's the conference website. Register, sign up with that. Chris, great to see you. How you doing?
Great. Thanks for having me, Bobby. Appreciate to be back.
Oh, it's great to have you back. So, we've done a few interviews thus far this year, talking about all the updates that's been happening. So, our last interview that we published was on October 6th, 2020. So let's get an update. What's been going on in Nova Leap since then?
Yeah. So, since we last spoke in October, remember we just closed in September. We just closed a deal in Arkansas, a small little opportunity there that we liked. Just before Halloween, so late October, we closed a deal in Massachusetts, actually moved into the Boston area. So it's helping us fill out Massachusetts pretty nicely. And then a couple of days ago, we just after Christmas closed a deal in Ohio, which has been good for us because we'd opened back in April a startup location in Ohio. If folks would remember that. Again, it was always an interesting time doing a startup location in the middle of a pandemic, but we did that in Ohio in April. Had a senior person there that we liked as part of the organization, and it actually saw a company about a half hour up the road that sort of competed in our area, and the conversations were such that it led to an acquisition. So we're pretty happy to be expanding there in Ohio.
Very good. I mean, were these targeted locations that you were looking at getting some new home healthcare facilities, or what was the thought process in these areas, or were they just good opportunities you couldn't pass up?
Yeah, I mean, we're generally doing a couple of things. One is we're looking at areas where we want to expand organically, and so obviously we look in the states where we already operate throughout New England, Ohio, central U.S. So we're always looking in those areas, and as we identify an area to expand organically by way of a new office location, what we tend to do is reach out to the local market and just say, look, we're looking to come into your area. Are you looking to partner or potentially have a transaction? Maybe not those words, but that's the gist of the approach. And sometimes it ends up leading to an opportunity, and that's what we found in a few different cases. So where we end up thinking we're going to just open a brand new office location, it ends up being an acquisition of an established business, and we're fine with that. I mean, we love the people that have been joining the organization, great people, great history, great little brands and areas that we really like. And so we're quite happy to continue on that path.
And I know in our last interview that we spoke, you're looking to be acquisitive. You're looking to bring bring some more companies under the Nova Leap banner. So how do you feel like you've done thus far in 2020? Did you hit some of your acquisition goals that you were hoping to achieve for this year?
No, not for 2020. With COVID, the way I look at it, I'd say COVID actually set us back about a year from a growth perspective. We were pretty quiet at the beginning of the year. Started to see the impacts of COVID, mid-March, so sort of towards the end of Q1. Certainly felt the impact in Q2. Q3 was a nice rebound for us. But I'd say it set us back a year from where I would have thought we would have been. We started to ramp up pretty nicely with our acquisition program the last three months. Obviously, since September, October, December, we made 3 acquisitions. A lot of opportunities in front of us. We continue to get approached on a regular basis. We have a direct outreach program, and so I think we'll continue to be pretty acquisitive. I think 2021 will be a good year for us. That's certainly my expectation and my view, just based on what we're seeing in the market in terms of opportunities and so on. So hopefully we can take where we've been set back a little bit in 2020 as a result of COVID. Hopefully we'll have an acceleration in 2021 if everything works out.
Absolutely. And I was going to say I should have said, COVID notwithstanding, of course, but I mean, was some of the reasonings for that because these home healthcare services companies, they were probably just so overwhelmed with just dealing with their patients and COVID scares. I mean, as much as maybe they wanted to sell, the last thing on their mind was like, we need to make sure we service our patients first, and then we'll deal with this. I mean, was that part of the process?
In terms of the reason why people were selling, or is that what you're asking, or in terms of why we sort of delayed the program?
No. In terms of why maybe the potential acquisitions that you were looking at, maybe, even if you had those initial conversations, maybe it slowed down because of their focus on just running their business at that point.
No, it wasn't that at all. It really had nothing to do with the folks that we would have been speaking to. It was very much our own decision. When the pandemic was announced as a global pandemic, I mean, we just, like, we were in a period of uncertainty. We really didn't know what was going to happen. And so again, way back in March, the concern was, well, will be considered an essential service? And of course we were, because we're providing service to seniors within their home. But we really took a pause and we're very much internally focused, where we're looking at policies and procedures and PPE and what are the new employment laws and what are the impact on certain things. And so it was really about us just taking a pause at that particular point in time. And it really wasn't until, I think it was mid-June, late June, I can't remember now, that we started to say, okay, we're ready to go back to market. And then when we did that, what we were experiencing was there was an acceleration of opportunities coming our way, both as a result of our direct outreach program, but also because of just people know who we are as a buyer of these private pay businesses. We're one of the predominant buyers in the US. And so we just had a large volume of opportunities on that particular, when that started to turn around. But the pause was really internally focused. And then we realized, okay, we can go back to the market, start acquiring. We engaged in the acquisition program again. And obviously you're seeing the result of that with 3 acquisitions the last 3 or 4 months. And again, I think just based on the volume of opportunities we continue to see, I think 2021 will be, I expect to be a good year for us.
Very good. So I asked you this question in both the other interviews that we did this year, and it has to do with value catalysts. So, from what you can tell us, what would you say now moving forward for 2021? What would you say are some of the company's value catalysts now for the coming year?
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty good at doing the same thing over and over, just repeating that, right? And we are an acquisitive company, and so the catalyst for us will continue to be acquisitions going forward for sure. I think that's one, and the predominant catalyst for us will be acquisitions. I think two, I think there's there's more people becoming aware of what we've been up to and what we plan on doing. And so I think as a result of that, there's just been more interest in the company. And I think we're starting to see that reflected in the stock price recently. So I think as long as we continue to execute operationally, like we have in the past, I think if we continue to buy, good little businesses like we have in the past, and we continue to make sure that people are aware of actually what we're doing, I think those will be the catalysts that propel us forward in 2021.
Very good. Well, Chris, with that, where can my audience go and find everything they need to know to follow along the Nova Leap story?
Our website, novaleaphealth.com, is probably the predominant area. We put all our news up there on a regular basis. So that's probably the spot to go to.
Very good. Well, Chris, thank you so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. Good luck. Stay safe. And I look forward to our next update.
All right. Thanks. Appreciate it. Take care.
Take care.